Hello, my beautiful friends, and welcome back. So we are back today with episode 4 of our Gen Z versus Millennial Agony Aunts series. Back with my sister, Melanie Murphy.
Consistent queens.
Consistent AF.
We're not usually very good at this, you know. We're usually like, yeah, we're going to be doing this.
We're changed women.
We're changed women, yeah.
Why are we all so Atlantic? Like, we're doing something weird. You'll be very happy to hear we're also going to be starting a series over on Melanie's channel. So you're going to have 2 YouTube series going forward to look forward to. So don't say we don't spoil you.
Yeah, because we're actually hanging out once a month now, so we figured why not? Because I love this job and I love how it brings us together, because we always end up talking about stuff we wouldn't talk about.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I'm very conscious that Woni's left a comment on the last one saying that Jessie couldn't get a word in. I know I have a problem interrupting people. We believe I am undiagnosed ADHD. I don't mean it. I usually just forget what I'm going to say if I don't say it as soon as it comes into my head. But I'm going to try to shut the fuck up.
I'm the same. And then what happens when you're done talking is I've genuinely forgotten what I was going to say.
Today I'm an ornament.
No, you're not an ornament. I just want to tell you a quick little story. So yesterday I was on the way up to Melanie and, you know, day 2 of my period, PCOS girlies, endometriosis girlies, you understand how painful your periods can be. Day 1, day 2, day 3 are always the worst for me, but specifically day 2, okay? The fact that I made it up here yesterday is a miracle. But I was on the train and Melanie, being Melanie who she is, you know, she likes to leave things to the last minute. So she takes it upon herself to send me a message saying, we need a second microphone. Because
look, every time we're talking, we're like this, passing back and forth our little friend.
Anyways, Melanie texts me saying, we need another microphone. So can you go to a camera shop in town and pick up the microphone? And she says it as if, you know, it's a really simple thing to do. So I was like, okay, well, where is the camera shop, Melanie? Thinking it's going to be 2 minutes from the train station. No, the camera shop is on the other side of town.
I said you should get a taxi and then, you know, it's a little 4-minute walk and all. But no, you know, what we didn't realise is I could have just ordered it for next day delivery.
See, I didn't even suggest that because I thought you had already inquired about that option.
It has just arrived. We're going to charge her up.
Yes.
I'm already taking over. Thanks for giving us more context today. A lot of the things you sent in had a lot more context than just like the one sentence, which we appreciate.
Yes.
Now I'm an ornament again, I swear.
Stop. The way you just talked about context, and we're going to start on one that doesn't have a lot of context. Oh. Okay, so... I'm single. All my friends are in relationships, terrified to be left behind and get lonely and bitter.
What age are you? Like, context, lads. But no, you're not going to be single for long. No one ever is.
No. See, this is it. You know, people who are single get so frustrated when people who are in relationships are like, oh, it'll happen when you least expect it. But genuinely, like any of the relationships I've ever gotten into, I was never seeking a relationship. I wasn't looking. Relationships often do fall upon you. You know, like even our brother met his wife on Tinder. Yeah. Like a lot of people I know feel ways towards dating apps, and like I was never interested in dating apps when I was single. I hated them, like,
and yet we still always had options of people to date. Like it's the thing is as well, I think it's normal to have, you know, boxes that you want ticked. So I bet you anyone who's single watching this, like there's like people you could be with but you don't want to be with them. It's all about finding someone obviously that wants to be with you, that you also are like mad interested in. But that will happen if you just keep putting yourself in the right situations. Like there's no way it won't. Like if you sit at home all the time, make sure you're on dating apps. If you are getting out and about, it will happen. I promise you.
You have options. It's just that these people don't meet your standards, and you should have standards for what you want for yourself in a relationship.
You're doing the right thing being single right now. If you've been really like betrayed and stuff like that, I've seen people go through the worst things at the end of a relationship and still work through it in therapy and find someone else and start another new beautiful relationship. Like people who've been married like years and years and years, have kids, you know, no matter how hellish a breakup, so ending up super bitter and like constantly thinking about like, oh, that thing with that person didn't work out or whatever, that is a choice. I do believe that is a choice.
I feel like another note to add as well is the fact that all your friends might be in relationships, but I'd say half of them are in unhappy relationships as well, and down the
lots of
line
them.
they'll probably break up, you know, they will find themselves in a situation what you're now in, because just because someone's in a relationship, it doesn't mean that's for life, you know. You don't know what goes on behind closed doors. Like, you know, the amount of
A
times
lot of relationships are shit.
so shit. Like, how many times have you, like, I know I have so many times thought someone's had a really happy, great relationship, and then you hear something from them, you know, not rumors or anything, and you're like, mind blown.
Recently I told you about this, and you met the girl like very briefly, but I had met the guy that she was involved with, and like the kids and everything like that, and I thought, oh, they seem really, really happy. Turns out they're not even together, and they're not even speaking, and like all this. So yeah, just know that there's lots of things you don't know about people's situations. And
the grass is greener where you water it, and if you keep watering your own grass, someone's going to come along and be like, that's some pretty nice looking damn green grass over there. I want to have a little bit of that grass. Do you know what I always do when I only noticed when I was editing it back? Like, whenever I laugh, why do I put my head back?
Yeah, you.
No, I go.
I don't do that because I've got like old school fillings, and they're like dark coloured, and I'm really paranoid about them. So like a lot of the time I don't like laughing with my mouth fully open, and I have a denture as well.
But it gives me like the ick for myself when I'm editing. I'm like, why are you doing that?
Stop. I when I'm editing,
looks like I have a twitch.
I have to pretend it's someone else. I can't edit myself otherwise. If I have to just imagine that that's a different person.
Yeah,
because I do really feel like there's a level of like not being able to be completely yourself on camera, but this is the most ourselves we are on camera, I think, when we're together.
Because we're together.
Yeah.
And it's, you know, the chats.
The chats.
The chats. Is long-term love supposed to feel stagnant? Do you get through it? This same girl also asked, how do you know when you are falling out of love with somebody? I feel like this kind of is similar to the age-old question, you know, how do you know when to break up with someone? And it's kind of like, well, if you're asking yourself that question, a lot of the times there's good reason for it, you know?
Like, I do think all relationships go through stages. Like, so many people are going to have periods where they feel super in love, and other times where they don't feel super in love, and they're like, we're mates. And things will become stagnant depending on job situations, like, you know, family commitments. You might be caring for an ill parent. Like, there's so many things where you're not watering your relationship and you're not prioritizing it. Like, when you've got a baby under one, it is near impossible to like have this super sexy relationship and things like that. There has to be a level of compatibility there that will carry you through those stages. I think when that's not there, then you're like, what am I even holding on for? If this isn't fun, and also then you're not even helping one another's lives to be better, and you're not helping one another to be better versions of yourself, like, it's like, what are you doing then? Do you know what I mean? So I do think asking yourself that question is a big alarm, you know, because like things with myself and Thomas have gone through stages of being super stagnant, but like I've never ever been like, should I be with him or not? Do I love him or not? Yeah, because like I think love gets through to a stage of like companionate love where you're like, I couldn't imagine my life without you. And whether or not things are stagnant or not for like a few weeks, and then they're like really fun and you're all excited and giggly together for a few weeks, and like that's just normal. Like I don't know anybody in a long-term relationship where that's not been the case.
No, and I feel like life is a series of ups and downs, as is a relationship, because you're going through life together, you know. So
it's not like a upward line. I'm interrupting.
No, you're
but it's not like you fall in love and things go up and up and up and up. Like, it's like there's just such a funny quote in this stand-up I saw. What was his name? And he was talking about relationships, and he was like, it's not like you're going to get to that, you know, the honeymoon stage, and you're like, oh yeah, fuck you, this person forever, and you're just at that stage forever. No one could sustain that. Like, no one. In no world are you going to sustain that when you're like getting to, you know, a point where you're spending so much time with someone, you know everything about them, you know all of their little habits and things like that. You're not going to feel like that. That is a chemical, hormonal thing. Like that's
fleeting.
It's chemical. That's not love.
No.
I think visualizing yourself when you're 30 years older than you are right now. Like, are they there? Visualize yourself with someone else that you might fancy or whatever.
Or something like, I saw that was a really good point is like, can you envision being with this person when you lose your parents, you know, them supporting you through that? If you lost your job, you know, you like getting through that really difficult things that are going to happen for most people throughout their life. Yeah,
that's a big part of being in a relationship. It's not all just about having sex and making babies. You know, like, so much of partnering up with someone is that being a team through life and carrying each other through all those really hard times, because everybody has them.
Yeah. And like, you know, the person you end up with, they become your immediate family. You know, if you get married, they are then your immediate family.
Oh, I'll never forget Thomas replacing my dad as my like next of kin on forums. I was like, oh my God, I'm an adult.
Are you though?
Am I though?
So advice on forgetting a toxic ex and realising they weren't the person you thought they were. A lot of the times, and it's so hard when you're in it, but once you lose your emotional attachment to somebody, you often realise that, you know, they're just an ordinary person like everyone else, but it was your love, it was your effort, it was your care what made them special. Do you know, like, especially if you're in a bad relationship where it wasn't functioning, it wasn't healthy, they maybe weren't bringing anything to the table, you know. It's what you're pouring into them what makes them like look like this god on a pedestal.
I think everyone does that as well. Like, you get almost more attached to the memory of like the constant dopamine hits and all of the positive, the big rush that you got at the start,
and you're in love with the potential of them.
Because take a lot of the toxic behaviors and things that they did and stuff like that, and imagine anyone else without their face, their voice, like all that stuff. Imagine anyone else treating you that way, or like imagine your friend's partner doing those things, and like what would you say to your friend? Because I just feel like so much of it is like all wrapped up in like these memories of the eye contact and the smell and, you know, all the things about a new person when you get with them. Like, I remember that with my first like love, we were terrible together. Like, so it was such an abusive relationship. I had such an attack. I used to like have these little pictures of him from like his Bebo and Facebook pages, and I just like stare at them for fucking hours. And like, I just, the smell, we had a real pheromone thing, you know, the smell of his like aftershave thing that he used to wear. But then if I would take the things he used to say to me, the things he used to do to me, and imagined my mom's husband, like your dad, treating mom like that, or if I imagined my best friend's boyfriend treating her like that, or, you know, I was just like, what a wanker. Wanker. No, in the bin. So the other stuff, you're allowed to like keep that packaged away in your brain, but that's not the full picture of the person.
That's always so hard to do, because even when you're in it, you're like, yes, that makes sense, but it's not that black and white when you're feeling them feelings, you know. It's all, obviously you're more consumed by the emotional attachment to them more so than anything else. But if you haven't already, I'd say the main thing is to cut contact. You know, don't have them on social media.
Yeah, like, block them so you can't even look them up.
Get rid. Yeah, don't be making a fake page so you can go and stalk them.
Yeah, like knowing their every move isn't going to help you get over them. Do you know what I mean?
No.
I remember with my boyfriend, my long-term boyfriend before my husband, who I was with for years and years and years, he like just vanished off the internet when we broke up. And many times after that, I like looked him up just to see if he okay and stuff, because I still really care about him. But like, Thomas said it to me one day, he was just like, he probably blocked you, or like he probably set up a new page, and on the new page blocked you on the new page.
Oh, that's a good point.
So maybe he does have a whole internet existence, and that's a good thing that he has been able to block me out, you know.
Yeah, I don't know if I'd believe that that's the case, because also a lot of people just don't post, you know, especially.
No, but he has no profile.
I know,
anywhere.
But a lot of people don't.
These are mad bastards.
You just feel that way because, like, you know, we are.
I always think that, like, about my friends who I'm just like, why can't you just like put stuff on your Instagram stories? I just love.
I dream of that though. Like going ghost, deleting everything, and
really.
Oh yeah, I don't know. I think one day I might do it.
I have fantasized about that.
I just love the idea of nobody knowing anything about you. I just love that privacy element.
I feel like it's all gonna blow up anyway. There'd be no internet one day.
But like, I feel like generally though, like I'd be much more of a private person more so than you.
Yeah.
So like maybe that's why
I have a deep need to be seen and to overshare. Like, you should have seen me when I was like 3, 4. I'd be like putting on costumes, dancing like, look at me, mommy, look at me, daddy, look at me, I'm amazing, mom.
And I was like, don't look at me.
I've had that like since I was a child. So.
But I do overshare as well, but I think I'm just very selective.
Yeah.
Because even often, like, there's been even times.
But I think that's because you started doing YouTube at like an age, as a teenager.
An awful age.
But that became your job, and it was like almost expected of you to share a lot of yourself.
Yeah.
You know, I don't think you would have necessarily gravitated toward that. Yeah. I think you wanted to do like fashion and beauty and stuff, not necessarily.
I don't know how I ended up here.
But like when people are constantly asking you
That's true,
to share.
yeah.
You're connected to your following, and then we're going off topic.
I think both me and a guy from work have feelings for each other. We're both in long-term relationships, live with our partners, etc. But last Christmas party we had a cheeky kiss and we both apologised to each other and agreed friends the following week at work. But we hang out after work sometimes for coffee and get on so well. I really don't know what to do about it because we both love our partners. But ? Exclamation mark.
Everybody is going to spark with other people when they're in a relationship, if they're in scenarios where they're around other people, because you're never, I don't believe in the one and that you're only ever gonna like fancy that one person or whatever.
But I feel like
just
you kind
don't
of have
believe
to
that.
feed the fire to get for
That's
that to happen,
so that's where I'm getting. I think you're always going to have moments of like connection and, you know, potential and like whatever. But there's a line in that film Closer I was showing you recently, and where she's just like, there's always a moment. Like, he's cheated on her, but he was like, I'm sure there was a moment with you where like, you know, you decide to resist it or you decide to give in to it. If I had a friend and I was like, right, it's very obvious that there's something, you know, a brewing, I'd just pull back from that friend and not really be messaging and meeting up. It's just a decision everyone has to make. Like, my husband is a pilot, and I'm sure at some point, like, there either has been or will be cabin crew where there might be a little, you know, like, but he's the type of person, he's not gonna then be like, oh, can I get your number, and oh, let's go for a drink, like,
but
you know.
that's it. Like, how would you feel if your boyfriend was doing that?
Yeah.
Imagine he shared a cheeky kiss with someone and then he was hanging out for coffee after work and messaging, and
If you kind of have to pick here, like, you kind of you have to pick.
it can't continue the way it is.
No.
Because it's cheating.
Naughty. It is cheating.
Bold.
I believe it to be cheating because
With the kiss.
not just the kiss.
And
Emotional cheating is worse.
Oh, yeah.
In my opinion, emotional cheating is far worse. If I could choose, if I had to choose, not that I would want to choose, but if I had to choose, if I had to choose between Thomas, like, you know, sleeping with someone behind my back, or, you know, staying up in bed thinking about someone, daydreaming about someone, so excited to see.
Oh, I feel sick.
That would kill me way more than if he like impregnated someone else. Like, honest to God.
that would just trample me all the time. You gotta choose, girl. You gotta choose. Yeah. I also feel like, though, like, if I found myself in that situation, but like, I just can't see myself wanting to stay with my partner, because I'm like,
Yeah, probably not. But a lot of people are so scared of being alone that they just want the option of the person still being there. And that's why so many people don't leave their partners even when they're like in love with someone else. They're like, oh yeah, but if I leave this, like, this is safe. It's taking a huge risk to leave someone for someone else when you don't even know.
yeah.
Because it takes so long to establish something solid and secure.
How important is sex in a relationship? I either have a really low libido or I'm in the asexual spectrum. I'm not sex repulsed, I just don't think about it, care about it all that much. I kind of find it more trouble than what it's worth. It usually hurts a bit, feels uncomfortable. Should I get that checked out? Probably. I've only been in one relationship before and only had sex with them, have since broken up. To top it all off, I'm extremely introverted and I don't feel the need to be with someone. But do I want to spend the rest of my life alone? Should I try finding someone when I know I might not be able to give them all they want from a relationship when it comes to sex? I do think of sex as a very intimate thing and I would never want to do it with someone I didn't know and trust completely. And that's probably why I felt uncomfortable in that relationship. Side note, I'm in my late 20s, female. Well, the first thing I'd say is sex is not the whole point of a relationship. No. It's a very small part of a relationship.
At the start, it's a big slice of the pie, and then that slice becomes smaller and smaller as time goes on. My answer to that, though, would be it depends on the other person you're with, because for some people, it's massively important. And then that can change over time as well. So for me in the past, it was like really important, so unbelievably important.
But I think that's what matters, is that when you initially get into a relationship with somebody, that you are on a similar page with it, you know. So there's going to be so many men and women who also feel the exact same way. There's also lots of people in asexual relationships who don't have sex. You know, there's a lot of people who wait until marriage to have sex for religious reasons. So it comes in all shapes and forms. So don't let that be what puts you off getting into a relationship, because you're saying that you're worried you mightn't be able to give them what they want. But you need to ask yourself, can they give you what you need? You know, what you want in a relationship.
What do you want is what matters most here.
Don't be focusing on some
what they need, what they
hypothetical
want,
person that doesn't even exist yet, you know? So once you are straight and you're clear of what from you need, then it's going to be much easier for you to find somebody who's also on the same page. You know, there's nothing more attractive either, I don't think, to somebody somebody, then when you know what you want, you can say it.
And some people discover this as they're in a relationship. You know, you might be with someone and realize, like, actually, I don't like penetrative sex at all. You know, and a lot of men have been kind of brought up to have this expectation of themselves that they be like hypersexual and always having sex and always, you know, masturbating and wanting it all the time. And we just don't work like that as human beings. Like, your estrogen levels, your testosterone levels, these things dictate largely your libido and your, you know, so many things affect desire. And like, one of the things that's always going to be an issue is like, if you want to be in a long-term relationship, so long term, so 10 years in, not many couples 10 years in are having sex every bloody day, you know. And you don't have to bring it up on a first date, like, you know, like, get to know someone and see, is there something there? And then when the conversation comes up, you can let them know.
I'd also say though, like,
never do something that you don't feel like you really want to be doing. I don't think anyone should ever be like, oh, I just have compromise and I just have to, like, if I do a bit of this and a bit of that to please them, like, I don't think that's fucked.
I'd say potentially a part of this as well could be because you say that, you know, you never want to do it with someone that you don't know and trust completely, and that's probably why it felt uncomfortable in your relationship. When you find somebody that you do trust and are comfortable with and sparks are flying, you might unlock a whole different side of your sexual self.
Look up demisexuality.
Yeah.
Because I'm pretty sure demisexuality means that you don't have sexual desire unless you kind of basically love someone, you know. And some people, that's the case. Like, with the right person, it's like, damn.
Well,
you know?
I've always kind of been like that. As in, like, I've never slept with someone I didn't know, or like I've always had to.
And it's terrible.
Yeah,
it's terrible. I've never enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Like,
basically, my partner, who I've been with for over a year, has gone into depression. He's had erectile dysfunction since the beginning of our relationship, so I'm used to having patience when it comes to that stuff. But now with the depression, he is no longer interested and borderline resistant to any kind of intimacy, cuddles, kisses, talks, any kind of closeness. He says he still wants to be together and I love him and I want to support him and be there for him through this challenging time, but I'm struggling to shake the feelings of loneliness, undesirability, unlovedness that are bubbling up to the surface from my intimacy needs not being met in the relationship. I'm not sure if either of you have had experiences like this or lean towards the anxious attachment style like me, but I'd be so appreciative of wisdom, love, and or comfort. Well, we both lean towards the anxious attachment style, so you've come to the right girls. I really empathise with you. Like, I can't even imagine how that feels.
Well, no, like, the closest I've come to that experience was during the pandemic. And we had a new baby and my husband's entire career was at risk. And like, he was going through a lot, like, and was very low, and our relationship and like intimacy and all that kind of stuff just wasn't, like, there was just so much going on at the time. I think it's just really, really, really important to encourage them that only they can help themselves out of this. Like, you can't fix the depression, you can't fix any of this stuff. Your partner has a responsibility to not just the relationship but to themselves, to, you know, feel everything, but to like seek ways out. And you can pave the path if it needs be, like organising therapy, organising any little things that might lift the mood and things like that, like research into things that actually affect depression. And like, sometimes it's the simplest things, like feeling disconnected from nature, feeling disconnected from other people. Like, there's a book, remember, Lost Connections? It's a really, really good book, especially about depression and things like that. If you're super committed to this relationship and, you know, wanting that intimacy back and things like that, if your partner's not willing to like read books or watch podcasts about all this stuff, like, you can do it and highlight things and or send them things. And I would give it time, like a bit of time, if there's like a deep love there, because a lot of people fall into these wells. Like, I've been in that situation where I've been the one who's not been wanting to be cuddly and I've not had a sex drive and, you know, all that kind of thing. And like, the last thing I would have needed is like my partner turning that around and being like, you know, but even though
it's not a personal thing to you, it's very much an internal.
Like, both people's feelings and your experience is completely valid, and your needs, like, everyone has needs. It's just a really tricky thing when like, just kind of letting go of like a timeline with it and stuff, and just trying to like make sure that you're both moving toward a solution, and also trying to have your needs met in other ways. Like, I don't mean go off with someone else, I just mean like your needs for intimacy can be fulfilled through friendships and other bonds, and these things are usually like, it's like a wave you have to ride.
Yeah, and I'd say maybe try and focus on, because I'm sure, you have had conversations and stuff, but look at what he is doing, if he is trying, or if he is communicating with you, like maybe he makes dinner one night, like, be
The little things.
Yeah, focus on what he is doing and be appreciative of that, because oftentimes when we're really depressed, or especially erectile dysfunction, a lot of it is linked to confidence and low self-esteem, low self-worth. I feel like just being there, for him.
Yeah, imagine if it was you, like what would you need to come out of that and to start like wanting to be intimate again?
Yeah.
So like focus on the things that you can do to help. With the anxious attachment style, though, it's very easy to take that like rejection and to then shut down yourself and start like giving silent treatment or being quiet or like turning away, and just try and like catch yourself out doing those things and stop doing them if you're doing them,
because that's just going to snowball the situation, and it doesn't help you and it doesn't help him and it doesn't help the relationship. So even I'd say try and read and watch podcasts and stuff about anxious attachment as well for yourself, because there's two different things going on here, it's her feelings and then his feelings as well. So maybe I'd say as well, like, look into some things you can do to help yourself feel a bit more secure
in yourself. It's like very much, I found for me, a lot of my work with my attachment style was on like myself,
and then it feeds into the relationship.
Like whether or not I'm with anyone, like, so for him and his stuff has to do that for himself, and then you can both come to the relationship.
But it's funny, like, because like when you have like an anxious attachment style, oftentimes if you are single, none of the issues are coming up. It's only when you're in a relationship that it's triggering all your stuff, and bringing up your old trauma. That's why they say there's certain things you can only work on while you're in a relationship, because the other person, you are like a mirror to each other, and you often can't address things in certain situations unless you're actually in it, you know? So I feel that friendships aren't worth the effort anymore, and I should prioritize community and being my own best friend instead. What are your thoughts on adult friendships?
Prioritizing community is the same thing, really, to me. Like, your community involves your friends, and like, no, friendship is always worth it. Maybe your friendships, your current friendships are not worth it, and that's fair enough.
I think as well, it can be hard, like when you transition from teenager into adulthood. I do think it takes a few years to be able to accept that they do change, because obviously once we all become adults, we all have so much going on, we have so many responsibilities. One of my friends who only lives down the road from me, we only see each other once every 5 weeks. Like, my other friends in Manchester, we're lucky to see each other twice a year. We'll FaceTime as much as we can. One of my old friends actually reached out to me. I didn't tell you this, actually. No. One of my friends that I was with for years through school, we fell out over something silly years ago, but she reached out to me last week, and we're going to meet up on Saturday and have like a little brunch and a walk and a coffee. But like, adult friendships, they're not what teenage friendships were. You're not in each other's pockets all the time. You're not like on the phone all day, every day. But that doesn't mean that the love isn't there and the respect isn't there and that relationship isn't there, I think it's just about understanding that it changes. But like, once you stay in contact, whenever that is, like another one.
Even if you don't, I have friends where like we literally have just drifted for months to years, and then suddenly we're talking loads again. And like, then I have other friends that are a bit more consistent, where we'll have this kind of rhythm to when we see each other and when we speak, and when we see each other, when we speak, it's always as if no time has gone by. And then you have other friendships where they're for a pocket of time, like 2 years or 5 months.
Do you know the way people kind of see things differently? So maybe she sees a friendship.
No way.
Her definition of friendship might be like that. People who stay in touch often enough.
I'm getting the expectation from that. I'm me, mine, now.
Listen to me, mommy, look at me.
Yeah. I'm expecting from that she means that her definition of a friend is that they are always there, always reliable. Friendships are very complicated, so different from a relationship with a partner. So different. The rules and the things like that around it are just different, but they are worth it. They're so important for your fucking health.
Yeah.
They've proven this through research. You need friendships. Everyone needs friendships. Like, people who have close relationships that aren't just like the one core relationship, but like you have multiple, they live the longest. Like, it's so fly. It's really important.
But I'd also say that it's absolutely fine to have a season where, you know, like Mel said, maybe your friends were shit. So it's fine if you go a year or two where, you know, you don't have any
good
friends,
yeah.
you know.
We've all had that. I had a time period where, like, I had, like, acquaintances, but they just weren't, you know, right now I have the best network of friendships that I've had in my life.
Yeah.
And even comparing that to, like, my teenage friendships, because really what they were built on was just, like, we live
convenience.
We live in the same area. We like the same bands. You know, our boyfriends are friends with each other. And then you end up getting, like, your work friendships and your this and your that. But, like, the older that you get, it does become easier, I feel like, to filter out real friendships from, you know, passing ships, you know, and they're sometimes important and nice as well.
Yeah.
I don't think that they're not worth it, though.
No. I think it could be a case that, you know, because I've definitely been there, if you've had like a really bad friendship breakup or something, like if you've had a really bad relationship breakup, you're like, I'm done with relationships, you know, I'm done with friendships, you know, you can often go to that headspace because it's like a mechanism to protect yourself, but that's often fleeting, like that doesn't last, you know, it's often just for a short period of time.
But focusing on your community will bring you friendships, whether you want them or not, and they might just not be what you expected. Like, you know, I feel like our next door neighbour, that he's like 80, I'd be like, yeah, we have a friendly relationship, and when he's out and we'll have chats, and he brought us around his garden, showing
but
us
he's
all
not your
this.
friend, babe. Like.
No, but when you're talking about your community, you're going to have loads of people like that, and you will build a relationship with them. Like, you know, if I run into his wife in the shops, we stop and talk for like 20 minutes.
Yeah.
And like, you know, that's how people make friends.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong or weird with being friends with like older people or whatever.
No, not
like,
at all. Age is just a fucking number.
Yeah. I just think redefine friendship, you know? Like, you're not going to have someone where it's just like they want to just hear your every thought and every fucking text. Like, Jesus, people have a million things to do.
Sorry,
be
that's
doing.
just the sunlight. Don't mind that.
Yeah. If they have kids, if they have a relationship, they're trying to run a house and they have a job, it's like you're not going to have a big role in their life, like a massive role. And my close friends, I don't see them that often, but when I see them, we'll spend like 2 full days together.
Yeah.
And we'll like immerse ourselves in each other's lives. And like what you're doing here, like, you know, you'll be here for a couple of days, I won't see you for ages, and then it doesn't mean we're any less close because of the distance apart. So I think redefining friendship is very,
Yeah, for sure. So how to get over a situationship that chose his ex over you? You have asked the right girl. This has happened to me before. So I was basically 20 and I met this boy at a festival. He was 2 years younger than me.
You were love heart eyes emoji.
I beg to differ. Met him at a festival and he had just broken up with his girlfriend a month prior. So I was really hesitant. Do you remember any of this?
I do remember you were hesitant. Yeah, you were bringing all this up.
Yeah.
As like, but I think you were still just like hoping for the best. Like you were falling in love with the potential very hard.
I was wanting to believe what he was telling me, even though there was that gut feeling on my stomach that was just niggling at me going, I don't know about this, Jessica.
I remember being very shocked at how quickly things were moving with the I love yous and the, you know, that kind of thing.
I've never been love bombed so hard, I'd say. Would you agree?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was really bad. Like, I think...
He was coming over to my house and like, you know, he was like, I'm part of the family now, you know. I was so not expecting things to go the way they did.
Yeah. In the first week of us meeting, he told me he loved me. This only lasted 4 months, right? But it went from 0 to 100 real quick. And I was like staying up, having glasses of wine with his mum while he was in work, and over in his house and then over to your house and then back to his house. Like, it was just such an intense 4 months, but like, you know,
it was very intense.
Yeah, he was talking about wanting to move in together, like he was wanting to do social media. He was getting really annoyed when I was putting up photos and not tagging him in them, and just mad shit was going on. But like, I'd only known the boy a couple of months, like, you know, I wasn't going to plaster him all over my social media. So yeah, him and his ex had broken up a month prior, but they were a long distance, so she lived in another country and they were together for like 2 years. But he told me that they only saw each other like a couple times a year because they were long distance, and obviously he was literally 18. I just was under the impression from everything he told me, like he told me he had lost feelings like a year prior, and you know, he was telling me all these issues they were having in the relationship, just filling me with all this shit, you know, that God knows if it was true or not, but he painted a really good picture, so obviously I believed him. And then one night we were on our phones and he was going to show me something on Facebook, and as he was typing in the search bar, the only other search in the search engine was his ex-girlfriend's name, And I turned to him and I was like, why are you looking up your ex-girlfriend? And he literally looked me dead in the eyes and he said, I'm just making sure she's not dead. I don't think I even said anything. Like, I literally think I just turned around and went to bed. But I was fuming. But obviously I was like, what can I say? Like, you know, but I took that and I ran with it. Like, yeah, of course he's checking. She's not dead. Like, fucking idiot. But anyways.
But I'd also argue it's not that weird. I've looked up my ex. I don't think that itself is a red flag, but like,
no.
you know, especially they were only broken up a while. So like, I don't think you were that stupid to not.
But anyways, we broke up basically after 4 months and he ended up getting back with his ex-girlfriend. So there you go. I have been in your situation and all I can say is just thank God that it happens now and not in 2 years' time, not in 4 years' time, not in 10 years' time. Like, oh my God, that was one of the best things that ever happened to me because we weren't compatible.
No.
Like, we were not compatible at all.
Do you think you were a rebound?
Oh, I was definitely a rebound.
Do you think?
Well, I don't know. I'd say so. Isn't that what they call the person that someone gets with very quickly after a relationship? You know?
Yeah, but like, I don't know. I've had a situation where like the rebound was harder to get over than the relationship.
I think it's really hard to say because obviously 4 months is such a short span of time. You know what I mean? Like when I look back at that now, thinking back at it.
At the age you were though, that's a long time.
That's true, yeah. It did feel like a really big deal at the time, but I was only 20, you know, like I was only a little baby.
But 4 months is a massive chunk of a 20-year-old's life.
That's true, yeah.
You know, that's nearly half a year. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I feel like that's always such a red flag when they're like bitching about the fucking ex straight away. You can have like such an intense short thing that affects you way more.
Yeah.
And I've had that as well with like the whole love bombing where it's like I've had 2 different mini relationships that were like a couple months each where like I really thought it would be, you know, a longer thing and all, but like they're talking about, you know, one of them was just like, oh yeah, next year when we're going to New York and oh like I can't wait for you to meet my grandparents or like, you know, talking about the future stuff. It's like, why are you doing that? And then you're like literally leg half out already as well. I feel like you moved on when, you know, you met the next person that you fancied. Like, it just kind of helps you to, like, I'm not saying, like, get under someone else to get over someone. But, you know, sometimes you can be locked in that when, like, that was the last time you felt those feelings. And then as soon as you feel those feelings for someone else, it just kind of helps. And time as well. Like, just time always heals things.
Yeah.
You know, when someone is, like, presented with 2 different people and they pick one person and they don't pick the other person, their choice does not mean that this person is suddenly worse or less than, that this person is better. We create these things in our head. Do you know what I mean? Like, I've been in, like, not that situation, but, like, something similar in that, like, I was with someone and they picked someone else over me, essentially. And, like, I went through this disastrous, like, she and I have reconnected actually in recent times, have talked about this. She had no idea that I was going through all this and like she was going through something similar with just like comparing ourselves to each other and all this shit. And like,
that's exactly it. Because like in my situation, like it hurt so bad at the time, but I'm sure his girlfriend was feeling the same way.
She probably does feel the same way, like, because when I was talking to this person I was in a situation where she was like, you know, I remember she reached out and was just like, I was always made to feel like you were like a threat or whatever. I was like, what? Like this whole time I've been just like, what? Why her? Like, what do I not have that she has? And like, I literally was trying so hard to be more like her, and like it was so bad. Like, this is an adult 20-something person, and it messed me up that much. It messed her up as well. We need to all stop. We need to blame the guy.
Each other against each other. Yeah, exactly.
It's him.
Yeah. He's the problem.
He hurt you, not the ex. Like, so please just cross her off your life.
He was filling you with shit, and then he went back to her, and he was probably filling her with shit about you.
Maybe one day you'll be besties. That's what I'm getting at.
I actually became friends with one of my ex-boyfriend's exes. It does happen. It actually does fucking happen. Okay, so we are gonna wrap it up here for today.
Up my heart.
But we really hope you enjoyed episode 4 of our Agony Aunts series. I'll have our other collab on Melanie's channel linked down below.
Goodbye from my toes.
Hello from the other side. Why did you always get your minging feet in it? Like, would you ever...
People would pay for these.
I know.
Lily Allen
this is going to end up on Foot Finder.
Yeah, Lily Allen has an OnlyFans and she gets like thousands a month. Like, I think we need a feet fans.
Melanie, you've not holded this at all. You said you wanted to act like an ornament, and I've been trying to like follow you around, and then I'm forgetting that I'm talking, and so I apologise if the audio was a little bit wicky-wacky today, but we'll have 2
mics next time.
Yeah. Okay, thank you for watching. Love you so much.
Bye.